Jnana, Karma, Sanyasa Yoga. Jnanam, Karma, and Sanyasa. Three things. Jnanam is all about the knowledge about the self, the relationship of the true self with the Supreme. And that relationship is equal. That self is same as the Supreme Self. But due to ignorance, due to certain other notions, that is not clear. So Jnanam is all about knowing the true self. Karma, with that knowledge of the self, indulging in the worldly activities, but at the same time not getting affected due to the karma. How that is possible? Because obviously the action that we do in the world will orient towards lot of karma bhalam and karma kalangam, meaning the side effects in terms of ragam, dvesham, kartrutvam, bhoktrutvam. When we do an action, it is quite obvious that we all will get into the mode of doership, enjoyership, having an attachment towards the action or the results, and aversion also. Yeah, hereafter I should never do that, I hate to do this, or the product or the result did not come well, I hate this action, right? So we should never accumulate these karma vasanas. So that is where, with the knowledge of the self, we surrendering the actions to the highest truth, the Supreme, then the karma becomes the karma yoga. And karma yoga, when you say karma yoga, the real effect of karma yoga is basically the karma sannyasa, getting away from the results and the desires action cycle. So knowledge, surrendering to the highest truth, executing the actions, and at the same time not getting affected due to the actions and becoming free while we do the actions. So Jnanam, Karmam, Sannyasa. It's an integrated path. And Bhagavan mentioned in the beginning that Imam Vivasvade Yogam Proktavanaham Avyayam Vivaswan Manave Praha Manurikshagave Abravid Evam Parampara Praptam Imam Rajarshayo Viduhu Sakale Nehamada Yogo Nashta Parantava. Hey, Arjuna, Parantava, the yoga, the real art of living in this world by integrating these three things, Jnanam, Karmam, Sannyasam. I gave this yogic knowledge to the Vivaswan. From the beginning, this knowledge existed. It's Anadi. And through the parampara, through the sampradayam, through the lineage, right? Again, I gave this to Manu, Ikshwaku, and the Rajarshi parampara. Every the Rajarshis inherited. But over a period of time, the yoga became deteriorated, and as an after effect, the adharmam got prevailed. And one thing we need to understand at this point, the origin of yoga. See, most of us started hearing this term yoga, your World Yoga Day, International Yoga Day. I'm going for yoga. These days, 5 to 6 a.m. is dedicated for yoga. Or which school of yoga you go. So these are some of the kind of conversations that we hear in these days, right? So one thing we need to understand, the origin of yoga, it is not a single historical moment or something like that, right? On one day, or April 3rd, somebody found the yoga or introduced this yoga. It's not like that. It is not a single historical moment. And yoga in Sanskrit, the word yoga came from the root or dhadu, so called as yuj, meaning to yoke, to unite, to join. the root or the dhadu, so called as yuj, represents to yoke, to unite, to join. What is this yoke or unite or join? As I mentioned in the beginning, the knowledge of the self. What it signifies here is signifying the union of the body, mind, spirit as an individual, the union of the spirit to the universal consciousness. In fact, the Mahavakyam Tattvamasi says, you are that. So now, with the ignorance that is prevailing, one should understand with this knowledge that there is a harmony between the individual self and the universal self, the universal consciousness. So when you say yuj, the dhadu, the root yuj, to unite, to join or to yoke, to join with what? The individual self joining with the universal self, the universal consciousness, the individual consciousness uniting with the universal consciousness, Tattvamasi. And the word yoga in the context of Bhagavad Gita is not just used as a or just used in one sense. It is used in many senses. So here in Bhagavad Gita, the word yoga we can see in enormous slokas of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So here we need to understand that it is the collection of different things. It is representing discipline. It is representing the yuj, the union, which I mentioned. The discipline or the mechanisms that are needed to join the body, mind, spirit in order to have a harmony with the universal consciousness. So the discipline needed, that discipline starts from the outer part, meaning the body, senses. I hope you all are with me. That is the discipline. Then comes the real union. Union in the sense, with the knowledge, one understanding and realizing and deriving the conviction. Union is also coming in some slokas. In the 6th chapter, we can see the Dhyana Yoga, the yoga of meditation. Bhagavan uses yoga as a method. And in this 2nd chapter, Bhagavan Krishna already mentioned that yoga means the equanimity of the mind. And again in the 2nd chapter, Bhagavan mentioned yoga is a skill. And in some other part, we can see at the end of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, we can see the meaning of yoga becomes the real meaningful integration at the different planes in order to merge with that truth. So, discipline with the right understanding, the union, the formation of that union, the methods which are really needed. That method start from the exterior plane. For example, in the real materialistic world, people consider yoga as some sort of a posture, asanas. Sit like this, or you do this posture. It is good for reducing the body weight or all those things. So these are the exterior part, the asanas, the behiranga asanas, right? Nothing, no problem there. But we need to understand that this is the combination of different things. But ultimately, what is really needed? What is the real meaning of yoga? As per the Yoga Sutram of Patanjali, yogaha chitta vritti nirodha tadadrishta surupe avasthan. So when you start from the exterior plane, you come into the interior plane, and ultimately yogam is defined as chitta vritti nirodha, basically the control of the mind, control of the emotion, so that tadadrishta surupe avasthanam. So when you reach to that level, you will be able to see the real self that is behind and beyond the mind. Right? So let us see, because in Bhagavad Gita also, now you will be able to appreciate that. If you see the second chapter, 48th verse, Yogastha kuru karmani sangam tyaktva dhananjaya. Yogastha kuru karmani sangam tyaktva dhananjaya. Siddhya siddhyo samo bhutva samatvam yoga uchyade. What is yogam? Samatvam yoga uchyade. And you become, hey Kurunandana, hey Arjuna, you become a yogastha. How you can become a yogasthan? You need to have the even-mindedness in success or failure. Remaining even-minded, remaining in the state of equanimity, irrespective of success and failure. So then, what is the actual definition of yoga here? Yoga is all about the mental balance. You will never get affected due to success or failure. And Bhagavan never said yoga is running away from the actions. No, this is never a withdrawal from the action. Yoga in this context is the freedom from emotional disturbance. See, success and failure will come in our lives. Right? Sometimes things are favorable, sometimes things are not favorable. But do I have the mental power in such a way that the external things, whether it's success or failure, will not shake up me? That is the yogam, that is the equanimity. Yogastha kuru karmani sangam tyaktva dhananjaya. Sangam, basically not getting affected with success or failure. Siddhya siddhyo, it can be success or failure. Samo bhutva, samatvam yoga uchyade. So yoga is basically what? The emotional stability despite the outcomes that comes in our lives. And in the 50th verse, buddhiyukto jahadiha ubhe sugrita dushkride tasmad yogaya ujjvasva yoga karmasu kaushalam. Hey Arjuna, please understand that buddhi yukto jahatiha ubhe sukrita dushkrite. Sukritam or dushkritam. Yoga is a skill in action. Yoga is excellence with awareness. Action without inner conflict is called as yoga. You are in the state of yoga. A disciplined mind that will never blame the cycle of cause and effect. A disciplined mind that will never getting affected due to the cycle of cause and effect. Here Bhagavan says, Tasmad buddhiyukto jahadiha ubhe sugrita dushkriti tasmat yogaya yujjasva yoga karmasu kaushala. Yeah, kaushala, kushalada, so called as the skillfulness or the dexterity. What is the skill? Skill is basically the mental ability to perform our own duty without being distracted by the desire for the rewards or not getting affected due to the fear of failure. So, yoga is equanimity, yoga is a skill, the skill that is needed to perform action. And what is the benefit? By being in the state of yoga, one remains untouched by the results. So results, obviously we know either it is good or bad. Any result that comes in our life is a dichotomy, good or bad, right? We call it as duality. So what is yoga in a simple way? yoga is basically transcending the duality with the right understanding. And if you see the 6th chapter again, the Dhyana Yoga, lot of places we can see that, if I am able to remember, in the 10th verse, Yogi Yunjida Sadadam Atmanam Rahasistita Ekagi Yata Chittatma Nirashi Rabarigraha. And following this 10th verse, many verses are basically saying it is a systematic mastery over mind. Yoga is an inner withdrawal. It is a discipline. So how this verse says how a yogi should sit, how a yogi should control the mind, how a yogi should incorporate the meditative mindset. Right here it says how should you sit, steady the body. This is what basically the modern world uses. The real asanas, right? So how to steady the body, how to regularize the breath, or how to withdraw the mind from distractions. And this is what the modern world thinks about the yoga, right? The postures, nothing else. But one thing we need to understand, this is just one of the dimensions, as I mentioned in the beginning. And again, in the later part, we can see yoga is basically defined as the disconnection from suffering. Dukkha samyoga viyogam yoga sanjidam. Dukkha sayoga viyogam. So basically, when you undergo the anandam or dukkha, yoga is becoming the freedom to dissociate from the soul. Capability to dissociate from the sorrow. There is no suffering, no entanglement in the pain. Pain will come. It doesn't mean that pain will not come in life. Obviously, pain will come through different ways. It can be a physical pain, it can be a mental pain, it can be some disturbance of the people around us. But yoga assures that the suffering is optional. If you are a yogi, if you are a true yogi, then the suffering is optional for you. Yoga helps what? Yoga helps in cutting the linkage with you and the suffering. Again, it says yoga is, in this context, yoga is a lifestyle balance. It is a moderation. We can see that yukta ahara, viharasya. I think it is the I'm not able to recollect the words. Yuktahara viharasya yukta cheshtasya karmasu. It is the 7th verse of 6th chapter, Dhyana Yoga. We are yet to come to that place, but you can appreciate this. Yuktahara viharasya yukta cheshtasya karmasu yukta swapnava bodhasya yogo bhavati dukkha. What is the meaning of yogam here? Yoga is a balanced living. Moderation in food, sleep, regulation in whatever we do. And in the modern world, lot of lifestyle disorders are there. It is quite common. It is very, very relevant for the modern world. Most of us are undergoing this kind of lifestyle disorders and issues. So that is where Bhagavan says yoga is a balanced living, moderation of food, sleep, whatever you consume, including recreation, procreation, work, everything related to each one of us. But the dimension of moderation, this is called as the balanced living. So when we go out of the balance, lifestyle disorders come, burnout comes, imbalances in lives will come. Again, Bhagavan says in the 9th chapter, Ananyas chindayanto mam yejana paryuvasade tesham nityabhyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. What is yoga? Yoga is basically the consistent and constant connection with the higher reality. So Bhagavan here says it's a very big assurance. You have a faith in me, I will take care of. You have a shreyas in you, meaning you have the dimension of the inner connect, consistent connect. You connect with me, I will take care of your prayers. You have shreyas in you, I will take care of prayers. Meaning what? Whatever material well-being you need, it will automatically come. Bhagavan here says, it is my burden to arrange for a yogi to give all the material pursuits or materialistic things which are needed for the yogi to execute his life or her life. So here you live with a higher purpose, you just surrender to me, you don't have anxiety, you reduce your anxiety, you have a single-minded focus, you connect with me always. So that is basically a call for all of us to move away from the ego, from the doership, from the enjoyership. The sense of being sole doer, you just surrender those things to me. You have a trust in me. So that is where Vahamyaham, Bhagavan says that personally I will take the burden of your prayers if you sign up for prayers. Right? So you focus on that inner connect, you surrender to me, I will take care of your material well-being. So yoga is basically at the end of Bhagavad Gita, you can see Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamegam Sharanam Raja Aham Tva Sarva Bhavebhyo Moksha Ishyami Mashuja. So that is basically the total surrender. You let go your ego, you just surrender, you just give up the ego driven identity. You align with me. Here Bhagavan says as a universal consciousness, you align with me as Ishwaran. Bhagavan says that you align with me as the universal consciousness, universal intelligence. And on the top of these definitions of yoga, Yoga Sutram says, Chitta Vritti Nirodha Tada Adishta Surubhe Avasthana. So one can start from the external yoga. That is what we need to understand. We can start from the external yoga in terms of starting from yama, niyamam, asanam, etc. Start from doing non-violence and be truthful in life, ethically correct. Have some personal disciplines such as purity in life, purity in everything that we do, contentment in life. Also, allow the body to cooperate, because ultimately this equipment is needed for realizing that, right? This equipment so called as the body. So the body should cooperate, the senses should cooperate. So start with the indriya nigraham, so that close the eyes, be in a place where no disturbance come, and try to sit for some time. Whether the body will cooperate or not, you see that. So start with the kind of a posture, the steady posture, right? Then see whether the body will cooperate, stretching to you doing different asanas, etc. Then you also see in the real world of yoga, the modern world, you can see these things, right? close your eyes and be away from distractions. Think about a blue sky. Think that you are in the beach and observing this ocean without any boundary. Correct? Then you feel good about yourself. You be pure. You be contented in life. Sit straight and ensure that the spine is straight, and you are not bending, etc. Then you regulate your breath. Slowly you breathe in, breathe out, and right. These all are the Behiranga Yogam. Now, the real Andaranga Yogam is the Pratyaharam, withdrawal of senses, right? If somebody is making noise in the kitchen, you should not get disturbed, right? Or if the smell of the chutney is coming, no, withdrawal of senses. Your purpose is different. Dharana, again the concentration, holding the mind steady, right? The calling bell is ringing. Should I stop my meditation and go? Let somebody come. They will wait, or they will leave the parcel there and go. It's okay, or somebody else will attend. Hold the mind steady. Then the dhyanam. Dhyanam is meditation. What is that? Effortless flow of that alertness coming. At some point of time, when we do this, when we reach to that stage, the distractions will go away. The effortless flow of that awareness will happen. That's what it happens in the real meditation. And this samadhi is what? The absorption. That is the real union. Dissolution of the I, dissolution of that mind, dissolution of that ego, moving away from that boundary to the real layer of absorption. So in the modern world, we need to redefine. It is not just the exterior yoga we need to do, all those postures, controlling the sugar level, pressure level and all through yoga. That is not the real or ultimate goal. So in the modern context, yoga should also be redefined slightly. Beyond those postures, the discipline of thought, mastering over reactions, right? When I say mastering over the distractions, the digital distraction, because we all have some sort of inability to focus, loss of concentration. This is the real problem of modern world, egagrata. We lose this. Again, the emotional reactivity, especially the social media taking control of us. Lack of vairagyam, lack of detachment. And in the modern world, knowledge is very much common. Everybody can get everything. But what happens is basically, though knowledge is there, the confusion is prevailing. So that is where, whether this knowledge is right or not, whether the the clarity that we are getting out of the amount of knowledge that we have around us. So here Bhagavan in the beginning was emphasizing that the yoga, whatever we discuss at this point of time, this is a collective set of things. It has different dimensions. So hey Arjuna, I gave this yoga, this knowledge, and again I am trying to re-emphasize this ancient yoga to you, because it's nothing new. This was taught to Vivaswan, this was taught to the paramparas. And now I am just using you as a method to instill this one more time. This is basically the same knowledge. It is not about a posture, or it is all about transforming one's life in terms of how to act in this world, how to feel in this world, how to relate in this world, how to come out of the disturbances, how to bring clarity in life. And this yoga was perfectly handled through the parampara, but it got lost over a time. So what happens basically when the yoga got deteriorated, the dharma collapses, because people lose the inner yoga and they lose the balance of the mind. Ego will dominate, desires will override their clarity. So, as tadwara, as an effect, the adharma will prevail. Simpler way of adharma to come is basically when people loses the yoga. And it doesn't mean that this yoga has to be acquired from outside, because within the individuals, the absenteeism of the yoga happens. So now, Arjuna, I am going to help you to restore that yoga. Now Bhagavan comes to the seventh verse of Jnana Karma Sanyasa Yoga. We have seen up till 6. 7 and 8 together. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanirbhavati bharata abhyudhanam dharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham paritranaya sadhuna vinashaya chadushkrutam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Hey Arjuna, whenever there is a decline in dharma called righteousness, and when there is a rise in adharma, unrighteousness, then I will manifest. Then I manifest myself. For what? For the protection of the noble people, for the destruction of the wicked ones, and for the establishment of dharma, and protect those noble. I manifest myself in every yuga. God incarnates as an avataram, as a manifestation. For what? To redeem the devotees, to rescue the affected people from the clutches of the adharma. See, one thing we need to understand. Dharma is something which is inherent in all of us. It is hidden in all of us. In Shruti says, dharmasya tattvam nihidam guhayam. Dharmasya tattvam nihidam guhayam. Dharma is hidden in all of us. Dharma, again, from the point of interpretation from Shruti, dharma is something that upholds the entire system, including the world that we live, the planets. And we all have dharma, and we all have to use that dharma. Dharayadi idi dharma. Dharaya meaning we have to wear it, we have to use it, we have to inculcate that. It is there in us. Dharma is there, and when we hold it, when we uphold it, when we use that in the right way, then we are protecting the dharma. And dharma is the universal rule. It cannot perish. But as Bhagavan said, over a period of time, the dharma glani has happened because the yoga was not inherited properly. So what happened? The adharma will overpower. That is called dharma glani. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati. Dharma glani. So then what happens? The divine will appear in some form and redeem. Then adharma becomes powerful due to lack of yoga. What happens? Our senses, mind, will, individual sense will drift away from that inner self, and it will come under the influence of the external things. At that point of time, you just pray. When you know that, because that's what I am saying, dharma is within all of us. We all know that sometimes we are drifting away from that self, and when we are under the clutch of the external things, just pray there. Pray from the heart, and Lord will appear in one form or other to rescue us. This can be just a trigger. So we have to understand these two verses in two contexts. From an external historical cosmic intervention, here the Bhagavan Sri Krishna talking to Arjuna that the dharma glani has happened at this point of time, that is where my manifestation is coming. Otherwise, we need to understand that from an internal plane, when we are lacking the clarity, when we are lacking the discipline, when we are under the influence of external things, there the awakening will happen in one for having clarity, for having discipline, for the connect with the higher intelligence. So two ways we need to understand. One side, protection of the people who follow the dharma, and when the adharmam prevails, the avataram happens in the physical form. But otherwise also, when one feels that I am deteriorating, I am drifting away from the inner core, and I am pulled under the influences of the external things, there also the avataram happens within, and the after effect of that is basically a trigger will happen in the life. An external guru will appear, or a life incident will become a trigger for the change in that individual. It is not just for the science, but basically paritranaya sadhunam, protection of the good. As I mentioned, dharma is there in all of us. That goodness is also there in all of us. To protect that goodness, to protect the people who are striving for clarity, at this point of time the clarity is lost due to different influences, or protect a practitioner who is urging to build that discipline, Bhagavan will evolve, Bhagavan will appear in some form or other form. Right? All this the manifestation of, see, when you say manifestation, avadarahi asankhya. It doesn't mean that only one avatar. Everything that we see are the avatars of Ishvara. And those avatars will become the agents of yoga. Right now, Arjuna, as you are my friend, you are my contemporary, you are my cousin, you have bhakti in me. Now I protect you to connect to that yoga, so that you will become a righteous person and will protect the society. So for you to meet that, I take this form. And if you have seen in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Dashavataram, to protect life in the water, life in the land, life in the water as well as land, Kurma Avataram, Malsya Avataram, Varaham, Narasimham, Vamana, Rama Avataram, Krishna Avataram, right? So at right time, certain avatara of the Lord will happen. And again in Srimad Bhagavatam we can see avatarahi asankheyam. So whenever things get out of the balance, there comes a shift, there comes a correction mechanism. Sometimes it is a gentle thing, sometimes it's a fierce one. For what? To get the things back onto the track. Any sort of a manifestation that will enable to bring things back to the track. So dharma is there, self is there in all of us, and self knowledge is something that is deserving. If we drift away from that, some sort of a trigger will happen in all of us. And in some cases, the life incidents, life experiences, a book can be a game changer. A life incident can be a game changer, as an external person can be a game changer, or the real agony that we may undergo at some point of time in life, that can become a trigger. In Srimad Bhagavata, in the Uddhava Gita, I think, Bhagavan says to Uddhava, Atmano Guru Atmeva Purishasya Visheshata Yat Pratyaksha Anumanabhyam Sreyo Savanuvindade. So, the real Guru is within you. So, hey Uddhava, don't cry when you are going away from me. I become a nimittam for an external Guru, but the real Guru is within you. Atmano Guru Atmeva Purishasya Visheshata. So self is the first Guru. So that self sometimes urges that, there is a need for the upliftment. So that blessing will happen from that Lord in terms of an upliftment. An external teacher can come, a scripture can come, a satsangam can come, a life experience can come. Can be good, bad, whatever is it. Or a teacher will come in some form for giving guidance. For what? But ultimately, these all are for the final clicking from the computer for enabling the realization. Right? This is basically, this is a click. We are missing that click for the realization. So, click for realization and enabling the things or the discipline that are really needed. In the Dakshinamurti Stotram, we can see Ishvaro Guru Atmedi Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurti. So, Ishwaran Guru Atma Murti Bheda Vibhagine. So, Dakshinamurti as the inner self. That Atma is the Ishwaran Guru for the upliftment. Yat pratyaksha anumanabhyam shreyosa anuvindade. The intellect as a tool. And the ultimate coach is who? Ultimate Guru is who? That's what Bhagavan says. Atmano Guru Atmaiva Purishasya Visheshata. The ultimate coach is your own awakened intelligence. The ultimate coach is that. So here when you say, I take avataram to establish dharma, in one way we can say, I will do the destruction. In another way we can say, I will do the transformation, I will do the conversion of those who follow the adharma, who deviate from the yoga, please understand this, and will bring them to the path of yoga, will bring them to the path of dharma. So, I will take some form. It can be any form for what? Re-establish the yoga, re-establish the dharma. Dharma samstavanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. It is not just an historical linking. It is it has different meanings actually, right? And if you see the gurus, Adi Shankara Bhagavad-pada, Ramakrishna Deva, if you the verse says that Stapakaya dharmasya sarva dharma surubine avadaraya varishtaya Ramakrishnaaya Tenam. What is that it says? Stapakaya dharmasya, for establishing the dharma. Sarva dharma surubane, you are the surubam for dharma, and you are the avadara varishta. So I bow in front of you, Ramakrishna Ayate Namaha. for providing stability and direction. And if see Bhagavad Padar Shankara Sakshat, the real Shankaran is acting through the Shankara Bhagavad Padar. Shankara Sakshat. Lord Shiva is in the form of Adi Shankara. And the incarnation of Lord in the form of Adi Shankara, especially when there was a lot of issues, disharmony, again different sects, basically Shaivam, Vaishnavam, Shakteyam. That is where Adi Shankara Bhagavad Padar established or made the non-dualism. Bhagavad Padar championed this Advaita philosophy. And if you see the Bhashyam says, Yada hi dharmasya glanihi hanihi varnashramadi lakshanasya praninam abhyudaya nisresa sadhanasya bhavati bharada abhyudhanam udbhavo adharmasya tada atmanam srijami aham mayaya. So that one word is very important here. Srijami aham mayaya. So I use my maya to take a manifestation. And if you see the previous verse, Bhagavan says, Ajobisan avyayatma bhudanam isharobisan pragradim swam adhishtaya sambhavami atma maya. Hey Arjuna, I remember my previous births, whereas you are not able to do that because you are under the control of Maya and I control Maya. So I use my Maya to take a manifestation. That is where the Bhashyam says, for protecting the dharma, I use my Maya to take a manifestation. And in the Bhashyam, Bhagavad Padar says, Divido hi vedokto dharma pravrti lakshano nivritti lakshana cha. Jagadasthiti karanam praninam sakshad abhyudaya nisrayasa hedu yasa dharma. So one should follow both the pravritti nivritti, and that is really the blissful coexistence that is needed for the world. Jagadasthiti karanam, that the Jagat exists due to that blissful coexistence. And not only that, when the pravrti nivarti gets integrated, that gets the effect in praninam. Sakshad abhyudaya nisrayasa heduhu. The real nisrayas, the abhyudayam comes in all beings due to this pravrti nivarti, so that the dharma is protected. And abhyudaya nisrayasa heduhu ya sa dharmaha. And in the for the 8th verse, Bhagavad Pada's Bhashyam is Paritranaya Parirakshanaaya Sadhunam Sanmarga Sthanam Vinashaya Jadushkridam Papa Karinam Kim cha dharma samstavanarthaya dharmasya samyak stavanam tadartham sambhavami yuge yuge prati yugam. The destruction of evil, dushkridam. Please don't think that it is the physical destruction or killing. It is basically killing of the ignorance, killing of the ego-driven patterns, killing the mental disturbances, so that the clarity is brought back, so that the focus for detachment is brought back, so that the yoga is brought back in that individual. So whenever the yoga declines within the individuals, dharma will collapse. And the individuals who deteriorate from yoga and dharma, the society will also start its after effects. That is where the nature acts. That is where Bhagavan says, I will appear either as a teacher or a crisis or an inner awakening or in the form of a trigger. Clear? Verse number 9. Janma karma cha me divyam Evam yo veti tattvataha tyaktva deham punarjanma naidi mamedi sorjuna. The one who knows the truth about my divine birth, janma karma and action is not reborn upon leaving the body but comes to me. Please understand this, Arjuna. So, what is the meaning here? The one who knows in reality that Krishna is Ishwaran, Krishna is the consciousness, in reality that I am the consciousness, such a person is a yogi, such a person is a jnani, such a person is a sthita prajnan. Such a person, knowing this, with this knowledge, has given up the physical body, does not take another birth. See, in this janmam, in this body itself, with this knowledge, one gaining that self-knowledge, that jivatva, that individuality is gone. And such a person is called as the Jivan Mukta. And the Jivan Mukta knows that I am not the Karta, I am not the doer. So that Jivan Muktan, the one who has this knowledge, he is a true yogi, he is a true jnani, he is a true sthita prajnan. He or she will not have karma. There is no papa punyam to initiate another birth, because there is no accumulation of the karma kalankam, the impurities that come from the execution of action, because there is knowledge in that Vyakti, that individual, who truly am I. So only when one takes oneself to be a doer can these be actions that lead to future birth. I will simplify it. To know Krishna, or to know Krishna's birth and action means, if you understand how action can happen without ego, act without attachment, remain untouched internally, and when this understanding that I have is basically I am this self, and for the sake of transactions I do the actions which are destined, but I am not affected, I am not bound by actions, I am not bound by the karma. This is the real freedom that one gets out of this self-knowledge, and that freedom is called as the liberation. So here, actions itself is becoming the state of yoga, meaning what? It is basically a skill, it is basically a balance, it is basically a detachment. So if we have skill, balance and detachment, there cannot be any inner disturbance. Then there is no urge to do more and more action. If it comes, it will be executed, but there is no urge release cycle. So it is not just a physical rebirth. We need to understand the real meaning in a different way. The freedom here is basically I am not under the clutch of repeated psychological cycles. See, for example, eating a laddu, got a laddu, again keeping that urge, I need to eat laddu every time. Though it is an example I am trying to get here, but why do we need to keep that urge? If it comes, you deal it. Similarly, create the inner disturbance or the craving or the desires. So here the real meaning of not taking birth is basically you come out of the You come out of the issue of repetitive psychological cycle. If you come out of that, then there is freedom. If you come out of that, meaning what? There is no ego. If ego is there, it charges for doing more karma. So if ego is not there, what happens? Like a battery, the discharge will happen. So the art of giving away the ego, that is what here it means, that you will not take the birth again, and ultimately you will merge with me. Meaning what? With this knowledge, you are not allowing the ego to do the charging so that more and more karma will happen. Here the discharge of karma will happen. Verse number 10. Vidaraga bhaya krodha manmaya mabhuvashrita bahavo jnana tapasa udamat bhavamagada. Vidaraga bhaya krodha manmaya mamuvashrita bahavo jnana tapasa pudamat bhavam agada. Free from attachment, free from fear, free from anger, they all will attain, what is the right thing? Vida raga bhaya krodha mat maya mam upasrita. Yeah. So free from attachment, fear, anger. Many have attained my state through knowledge and discipline. Let's take a very simple analogy here. Senses at the external part of our manifested body. Then we have the body, right? We have a conscious mind. That conscious mind is the waking state. We have an active mind that does the dream. When we have a latent mind, that happens in the deep sleep. Where these things are depending upon. In the deep sleep also my existence is there. In the dream also my existence is there. In the conscious mind also my existence is there. In this body also my consciousness is there. In the sense also. It means what? This sense, body, conscious mind, active mind, latent mind exist on the center of consciousness. See here Manmayatvam meaning the yoga anubhava, the yogic experience, the meditative experience, the incessant atma vicharam. See, though we are operating at sense, body, conscious mind, active mind, latent mind, the real knowledge that I am the center of consciousness, that connect to that experience, that connect to that higher divine. This is Manmayatvam. And the other one is, two terms are there, Manmayatvam and Mamuvasritatvam. Dependence on the God. So, my limited being and the higher being, with the limitations that I have, I am stuck at that limited being, but technically I am that higher being. The notional distance is due to the ajnana. Mamuvasrayatvam is basically the dependence on the higher truth. That's where the previous time I used the verse, the yoga kshemam vahamiham. You find God in everything. You seek God outwardly and inwardly. You see the string of seamless consciousness everywhere. That's where here it says the Jnana tapas. Jnana tapas is all about experiencing and establishing this truth. Experiencing and establishing this truth in whatever you see outside, in whatever you possess, but understand that the center of consciousness is the substratum of everything, be it the senses, body, conscious mind, the active mind, the latent mind, the objects that you see around. They all rest on the center of consciousness, and you experience that center of consciousness and establish in this truth. So have this manmayatvam, mamavasrayatvam, and have the jnana tapas in you. And you be free from attachment, you be free from fear, you be free from anger. You will reach me through this knowledge and through this right discipline. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamadachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vishishyade. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.